Was the relationship with Vince, would he give you feedback, or would you not kind of deal with him? Would you deal more with writers directly? What was the relationship like?
I gotta say, it was actually quite good. He was quite complimentary to me. I just think he liked the way I wrestled. I liked to be a heel. I liked to be like vicious with guys and then kind of violent in a way that Terry Taylor kind of taught me in the ring. So it was a bit old school, and I know he liked that. And he was very much kind of watched me develop, and he kept giving me opportunities. And if you notice, from pretty much the time I debut for almost the next, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I'm at least on TV playing guitar every week for some, maybe 1 minute, maybe 6 minutes, maybe a whole 20-minute thing. And so that tells you something. It tells you he's willing to invest because, we're always told, hey, every 30 seconds costs the company $100,000 or something like that to be on TV. So when they're giving you that TV time, I know, okay, he's trusting in me to do something, to give a product. You know what I mean? And as far as our personal relationship, yeah, he'd let me know if he didn't like something. He was quick to call you out on it, and he'd make you feel like garbage, and you want to come back the next week and prove him wrong. And if he complimented you and said, that was top guy stuff right there, you felt on top of the world. You got the boss happy with what you do.
And one of the first guys that you had a big feud with on Raw is Finn Balor. He had come up, and you've worked with him in NXT. Was it comforting to be working with someone that you knew what you were getting?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Finn Balor, he's just so good as it is. So even in NXT, it was so easy to get there with him. He's got such a great mind for wrestling. He can have a great match with anybody. And so for me, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I've already wrestled him. He's got a great character that the fans love. I'm new. They're figuring me out, and they're hopefully going to hate what I say or whatever they do. So to get in the mix with him right off the bat, I mean, that was a perfect booking, if you ask me.
And you have that, and your first year goes really well, and then at WrestleMania 34, which is your first main roster WrestleMania,
Yes.
you're interrupted by John Cena,
Yeah.
and you have that en route to him facing the Undertaker.
Yeah.
How is that pitched to you that, if this is what you're going to do at WrestleMania?
Yeah.
I guess the response is, great, I'll do something with Cena at WrestleMania.
So I wish it was like that. Yeah. It's actually quite interesting. I can remember I was backstage, and John Cena walked out of the office, out of Vince's office, and he said, see, kid, that's why I never pitch anything. I said, oh, okay. He was like really upset. And come to find out, he was in there trying to pitch John Cena versus Elias for WrestleMania. He wanted to have that match, but Vince had another idea. And so I said, okay. Of course, like you're almost you're like flattered in a way. What? John Cena wants to wrestle you at Mania? Okay, cool. And then I can remember Vince walking out of that office shortly after that, and we cross paths in the hallway, and he kind of pulls me aside. He says, I got an idea for you for a WrestleMania. I can't tell you what it is, but it's going to be good. And I got goosebumps when he said it. And I remember just thinking, okay, all right. That was the last I heard of anything until 1 a.m. the night of WrestleMania. I'm serious. And keep in mind, I'm remembering like those words like are seared in my mind when Vince said that, right? And I'm going through week after week, and I'm saying, I've got the performance of a lifetime coming up at WrestleMania. It's going to be amazing. Whatever. Get ready. I'm going to break all the records. I'm really hyping up this incredible performance at WrestleMania. And I hadn't heard anything. And it's getting late the night before. I even go to the rehearsal for the Battle Royal, the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, which was going to be on the pre-show. And I was kind of let down. I'm like, wait a second. Vince said he had like a great idea and like that nobody ever followed up with that. So I went to the rehearsal for the Andre the Giant Battle Royal the night before WrestleMania. And I went back to my hotel room and I thought, okay, maybe plans change or something. Like I had no idea. And then literally at 1 a.m., my hotel phone was ringing. I think I was sleeping. And I picked up and it was John Cone. And he's like, hey, you're needed at the arena right now. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, we need you over at the arena. We'll get a car for you. They'll be there in like 10 minutes. I'm like, okay. So like I get out of bed. I'm all out of it, right? And I walk into the arena and there's John Cena and there's the Undertaker. Vince is back there. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to be a part of this somehow, right? Like it's starting to come together in some way. And they're like, hey, we need you to do a rehearsal up at the thing. I'm like, okay, what am I doing? Keep in mind, I woke up like 20 minutes ago, right? And I'm kind of all out of whack. And I'm walking backstage and they throw the guitar on me. They're like, hey, lights are going to go out. When we say it, do your strum thing, okay? I'm like, okay, yeah, got it. So we do that. And I still don't really know what the plan is, right? But I just realized, okay, they're rehearsing this for some reason and these guys are here. And so we do the rehearsal, we find out, and then it's maybe an hour later, Michael Hayes is like, you need to come up with a song tomorrow about how like you're the phenom, because John Cena was calling out the Undertaker for the weeks leading up, and then it was going to be like a song about how like turns out I'm the guy he was calling out, I'm the real phenom, I'm the real like amazing legend and stuff like that, and so I did. I wrote that song there, and then by the time the day came around, they had fully explained to me, here's what's going on. John's going to call out the Undertaker, but it's going to be you, and the crowd is going to hate it, right? And you're going to come down, you're going to sing a song, you'll get into it with John, he'll do the thing, he'll leave, you'll leave, John will leave, and then the Undertaker will come out. And, that's when they had their match, which I actually think the crowd was very disappointed with in a way. Because I know both actually for a fact. I know that Undertaker trained for a long match and John wanted to have, this is John Cena and the Undertaker. You want to see them have like a classic WrestleMania match if they're going to do it, right? But, Vince had some sort of vision there for that whole segment and he's calling the shots. I can't really complain because I got to be involved in this amazing segment in New Orleans with all these guys. But yeah, that's how I found out. I found out very late.
Are you there? You're not there when Vince tells Undertaker and Cena the match is not going to be a long match, are you?
I was there when John had found out. Yeah, when he found out, he was very disappointed. And again, he's like such a soldier for the company that like, again, he just goes to work, does what he has to do. He'll make anything great. It's a great model to follow, right? Whatever situation you're put in, make the best of it. But I know he was disappointed. He was really disappointed and just kind of like, hey, like, I wanted it to be you. I thought we could have done something great. And then even in my song, that I was going to do, he was like, you need to like say something about me and blah, 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 because he wanted to do more business. But again, I think Vince just said, nope, it's got to be straight. This is about the Undertaker. He had a whole vision for the thing that he just wanted to make happen. But I was very grateful to be a part of it, for sure.
And a good first WrestleMania story. And the month after that WrestleMania, WWE went and did their first Saudi show, the Greatest Royal Rumble. Yes. And there was a lot of kind of blowback to them doing that show, to them doing the deal with Saudi. What was kind of the reaction within the company for the wrestlers about going there, knowing that there's going to be a portion of people who just do not want that to happen?
Yeah, it was definitely controversial. For me, I'm like, hey, if they're going to send me to go wrestle somewhere, okay, I'll do it. You know what I mean? Wrestling. But definitely there was a lot of controversy at the time. And there was plenty of wrestlers who just said, I'm not going. I can't remember now who it was, but there was quite a few that were just like, I'm not going to be a part of that show. For me, it was just another opportunity to, play with the crowd, have a wrestling match. People are people, man. So, whether they're in Saudi or not, I know I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and I don't, you know what I mean? But that's also not my business. And yeah, so for me, it was just an opportunity to go and perform in front of another crowd in another country.
Was it in an environment where if people didn't want to go, they didn't have to go, or was it kind of a, we want everybody to go?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's kind of always there's always this underlying pressure. We want you to be at work. We want you to go. We want you to do, you know what I mean? Go, go, go. And so there's always that little bit where it's like, it doesn't feel right to tell them I don't want to go. It feels like you're going to get heat or something like that, right? And at the end of the day, you just kind of have to take that, right? Yeah, there might be heat on you for not going, or there might not be. I mean, anybody, I think back now, anybody that said they weren't going to go turned out totally fine. So, like, any heat is just like momentary heat. And if they didn't want to go, they just didn't go. It was pretty straightforward.
And by this point, you've been in NXT for a while, you've been in the main roster for a while. And I mean, I guess for Elias, people weren't constantly talking about Elias having 5-star matches and all this kind of stuff. But when you had the feud with Seth Rollins, it was like you and him just clicked. Yeah. And there was something there that we kind of hadn't seen from Elias yet. Did you feel that, and why do you think that was?
Yeah, definitely. That stands out to me a lot. And there's a specific match. It's Money in the Bank, me and Seth Rollins in Chicago. And, this was an opportunity to get with Seth. I mean, he's a really good wrestler. He's awesome. And he can make anybody look good. And then for me, it was a big deal because I wanted to show the people that, guess what? I could also do that. I could also have a great match if I'm given the opportunity. And, because it just is what it is when you're doing a 5-minute segment and then a 4-minute match, and the point of the match is to get the babyface over and stuff like that. It's not always going to be, wow, Elias has done this amazing stuff, whatever. But with Seth, it was the right environment, the right match. It was the Intercontinental Championship. There was a real story there. And sure enough, man, I had that match, and it got people talking. And this was the plan. I can remember Vince McMahon came up to me after that, and he said, it didn't happen at this last WrestleMania, but I want you and John at the next WrestleMania. And I said, yep, okay, great. There we go, right? So I was very excited about that. Now, they told me I was going to feud with Seth for the next 6 months, and then I was going to move on to John Cena for WrestleMania. So I was very excited about that match itself, and tons of credit to Seth because he was just very, he's always been good, but it was a good time for Seth and me to meet right there. And so that's, after that match, it really stood out, man. And I felt like, okay, I showed people that, I do the singing and the guitar playing and whatever, maybe some beat downs and smash somebody with a guitar, but also I can have some awesome wrestling matches if given the opportunity,
While we're talking about Seth Rollins, we did have an audience question about Seth, and it was said, I saw in an interview with the Monday Night Messiah was your idea. How do you feel about Seth using the character?
That's totally accurate. I remember I did an interview where I said that. And look, unfortunately, it's like that's just the nature of the business. You pitch ideas. Some of them go for you. Some of them don't go for you. I had a lot of hopes for that character. I had brought it to the team. I had a whole plan and way to involve people and have my own disciples and stuff like that. And they just kind of came to me and they said, no, and it was the Monday Night Messiah. And they just kind of came to me and said, we don't see you doing that. Okay. And then 2 weeks later, it was like, they've got like the pane glass, visuals for Seth, and they're calling him the Monday Night Messiah. And I'm like, what? Like, okay, wow. It's like, just look, he did great with it. He was awesome with it. All that stuff. I just envisioned myself as kind of transitioning to that, from the insulting guitar player to like the cult leader almost. I had the audience already singing along with me and doing my catchphrases. They loved to play along. So I thought, well, let me be the cult leader, the Pied Piper that, switches things and becomes a little bit more biblical and like Old Testament eye for eye stuff. And I got my guys here that go and carry out my missions. And I just had a lot of hope for that character, basically. And it's one of many that I brought to the table. And they just said, no, we don't see that. And it just so happened this one, they're like, but we do see that for Seth. So it's just the nature of, WWE and the business. And you got to keep being creative in different ways. But that is a true story.
I did want to ask you about the infamous promo in Seattle with you and Kevin Owens in October 2018, where you guys were booed for so long. Talk about that day, coming up with that promo, and the reaction from the crowd in real time.
Yeah, obviously, that's stands out as a career highlight. I always get asked about that. People come up to me and they're like, "That Seattle promo," and it's a credit to a lot of things there. First off, the reactions were like that leading up to that Monday Night Raw. Like every week, I was doing something that they knew. Who wants a log with Elias? Okay, boom, and then boom, some sort of insult that's gonna fire them up, right? They knew the rhythm of my promos. So by the time I got to Seattle, they were ready to let me have it whenever I hit them with whatever that line is. And I remember we were backstage talking about it, and one of our writers, his name was Kaz, he was like, yeah, you say, out of Seattle, that makes as much sense as having a basketball team in Seattle. And I was really questioning it. I'm like, do you think that's enough? We should maybe really stick it to them. And he's like, no. They're not going to be happy when you say that. I'm like, okay, you sure? He's like, yeah, they're not going to like that. Okay, so we go out there, we do the thing. Me and Kev sitting there, and I say the line, and they just unload every bit of anger they've had stored up for the past 10 years on me and Kev. And they're just booing like crazy to the point where I'm like, I can't even talk because they're so loud. And if you could picture the clip, I kind of rest on my guitar and I put the pick in my mouth, and I'm just going to let them have their moment here because that really upset them, So I'm going to let them, like a kid who just needs to get it out, you know what I mean? Just go ahead, go for it. And, at some point you realize, well, you're on TV and the clock is ticking, right? And that's money and stuff. And, so I'm sitting there, I'm listening to the boos, and it's time to go to the next stuff. And Kev tries to get going. And he's closer than me and you, and he's yelling into the microphone, and I can't even hear him. And I'm like, Kev, I can't even hear what you're saying. You know what I mean? It was so loud, and it was so crazy. And, we got through that promo, 8 minutes, 10 minutes or something, and them just straight booing. And I thought, oh, man, this is going to be one of those times where they really lay into me backstage because I went, 4 or 5 minutes over my time limit. And I went backstage, and Vince was standing, and he just was kind of clapping, kind of funnily. He said, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? That was great. Shook my hand. And I can remember Paul Heyman was freaking out. That's how a main eventer handles it. That's a main eventer right there. That was, effing good, man. He's really going wild backstage for that moment right there. And just a fun memory all around. And it's you could go back and watch that today and be entertained by just the crowd hating something so much, great memory. Of course, having Kev right in the mix there. Me and him have great chemistry, almost no matter what we do. So just a fun time,
And around that time, October 2018, like you say, you were feuding with Seth. Then the plan was to maybe go to you and Cena, but instead they turn Elias babyface.
Yes.
Whose idea is it to turn Elias babyface, and how do you feel about it?
So that was Vince's idea. Roman Reigns had, I think this is when he got his cancer diagnosis, right? And so this was a everybody was just heartbroken at Monday Night Raw, and they came to me. I got a message on my phone. Vince said, "Turn into Babyface tonight. I expect you to be a team player." And he even told me, "I know it's too soon. I know it's too soon, but we got to do it." And they kind of explained to me, "Listen, at this time, as crazy as it may sound, you're the second most popular guy. The crowds just love to play with you. They love to get involved in this. Roman's going down. He's a big-time babyface. We need a big character to step up here." I said, "Okay, yeah, like, look, of course, my immediate thought is this is going to mess with me and John at Mania, which was the big picture for me, right? But, like, the company asks you to do something, and it's true. I had always thought that at WrestleMania versus John, that would be the perfect time to turn babyface. Because me and John could just have an awesome match, and who knows, maybe we could shake hands. Maybe the crowd who was already building behind me would turn at Mania, and they'd really like me over John, just because of the way the crowd dealt with him at that time. And so, that just is what it is, man. It's one of those decisions. I wish Roman never got the cancer diagnosis in the first place, right? I mean, come on, what a thing to have to deal with. My goodness. But yeah, then the company has to switch stuff, and they do, and they did. And I became babyface right shortly after that. And that was a lot of fun too. It was like, okay, let's roll with this. And then I started to think things are going off track now. For like almost entirely my career up until that point, there's little frustrations here and there, but it's like I felt like I was on the right trajectory, right? And then when they turned me babyface, things started feeling not quite right. And I can remember the very next week, I think it was, they turned me babyface and showed up, and we were going to do a promo, and I was still going to be kind of a jerk because I'm like, you know what? They already like when I'm a jerk. So let me be a jerk that they like, you know what I mean? Let me do it. And, for whatever reason, Vince just had something in his mind where he was like, no, you're going to be like their friend now. You're going to be like, hey, we're all in this together, sing along with me and, this kind of thing. And he always had this phrase where he was like, you used to sing for yourself, but now you sing for them. He kind of like the heel Elias was all about like building his own ego up. Like, listen to this amazing song that I wrote that makes me feel good about myself. And then I would like bash them, right? I always thought I was like really funny. And then this version that he had was like, let's sing a song together as almost like a family, like good guy thing, right? And I actually don't even mind that, but it was so different that it didn't feel good to be like, okay guys, let's sing along and then really sing along. Like it felt more like, let's sing along. And then I start and I go, actually, you guys sound terrible. Let me take this one, let me just have some fun with it myself. But, that's when I started to feel like, okay, but how can I still make John work in Mania? How can I still do that? It was still the big picture in my head.
And obviously, it doesn't last too long because that's the October, and then in the Royal Rumble 2019, yes. You're number one and Jeff Jarrett's number two.
Right.
And he comes out, you guys have this little short thing, you turn heel again. What was it like? How do you find out you're working with Jeff, and what's the mindset in turning you back?
It was exactly that. Roman was on his way back. They wanted to do that thing with me and Jeff, and they wanted him to be the legend, and they wanted me to be the heel. I said, okay, I'll do that too. You know what I mean? Again, no matter what in my career, whether they had me babyface or heel, I thought, okay, as long as I have my shtick, I will be able to play with them, right? I'll be able to have some fun, whether it's a face or a heel. I could do anything there. So in that case, that's exactly what that was. They had me come out. I'm in the middle of, I think it's the Arizona Stadium there, the Royal Rumble. Jeff Jarrett comes out. We have a great exchange. And then we worked together a little bit too on the following Monday Night Raws, where they wanted me to be heel and have Jeff Jarrett be the babyface, right? Didn't always go that way for the audience, because the audience was still behind me. You know what I mean? But you got to do what you got to do in the whatever the show calls for. But working with Jeff was great. He's incredible. I think me and him, who knows, that guy's still wrestling and he's doing amazing right now, like amazing work right now. So who knows if down the line me and him have a story again somehow. I think that would be awesome because he's great. He's an incredible pro wrestler and just a person.
Because, I mean, you ended up having his first WWE match that he had since like 1999.
Yeah.
And even though he's in AEW now, people are, really praising him.
Yeah.
You got to kind of see what he still had in the time before everybody else did.
Oh, dude, I can remember he had these awesome punches. And I remember like selling them basically, right? Like, and just having so much fun because they're those old school underhand punches. And yeah, he was great, man. I got to tell you, like, totally surprised me. You didn't know what you were going to get. I didn't know what I was going to get with him. And now he's like, his work's even better somehow. He's in better shape. And he looks awesome. So, yeah, and it was cool to do that. You know what I mean? Since it was 1999, you said. So here we are 20 years later, getting to wrestle him. And, of course, you got the comparisons with the guitar and the character and all that stuff. So, yeah, it was awesome.
So, you've talked about the idea of facing Cena at WrestleMania. It was maybe going to happen in 2018. It didn't. The plan is for it to be 2019. And then eventually, you do get to kind of work with Cena at WrestleMania 35, but not the way you wanted to. Talk about how we got what ended up being that product.
Yeah, that was another one where John was doing a movie at that time. And so, I was heel again, but it wasn't, so it could work again, right? And I was kind of excited. This could work. And it just came down to the fact that he was doing a movie, and it was one of those ones where, like, you can't hurt him. You can't hit him. You can't touch him. You can't do anything. And so if you watch that segment, you'll notice zero offense on my part. It's just like, get beat up, get slammed. That's the segment. Now, the segment itself was actually very fun. You got to see a first glimpse of the Elias family that would become folklore on TV, where I was playing guitar in the ring, and I'm playing piano up there, and I'm playing drums over there. And that was all Vince's idea. And he wanted me, hey, you talk to that brother over there and that brother over there. And he said, all right, guys, let's play together, right? And you do some stuff. And then John Cena comes out, and he's the doctor of thugonomics. And we have like a fun little segment there. He does a freestyle on me, and then he beats me up. That's our segment for WrestleMania, which is a pretty memorable segment. But again, as a guy who's trying to break through to that next level, where, like, if you wrestle John Cena at WrestleMania in the right environment, that could be a star-making night. Not in a way that Elias wasn't already a star, but in that, like, this could elevate you to where, like, now you're seen in the realm of, you could mix it up with John and, whoever the top guys are and stuff. So I really wanted that. I wanted that for my career, too, to be able to say I had that match with John Cena. He was like the greatest ever at Mania, and to really build off of that, to kind of show the wrestling side as well as the entertainment side,
And did you kind of, after that segment of WrestleMania 35, did you kind of think, that's it, Cena and I are kind of, we've done what we're going to do, or were you still holding on to maybe there's a chance at next year's WrestleMania?
Yeah, no, not only did I hold on to it, it was going to happen. So, I mean, it sounds crazy, but before the pandemic, and I have it saved on my phone somewhere, Vince McMahon sent me a message, you and John at Mania this year. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this is actual long-term storytelling. Here we go. The first one, I interrupt him. The second one, he interrupts me. Now we have this big WrestleMania match, right? And so I was, of course, thinking, holy crap, it's going to happen. It's finally going to happen. And it's going to make sense. And it's going to be a great story. And then COVID happened. And then it was the pandemic time. And then he is like, hey, it doesn't make sense right now. I've got to go with, he didn't have anything for, I can't remember the way he worded it. It was like, I don't have anything for Bray. And John is the guy for him, and something like that. And they ended up having that, of course, like extremely memorable Firefly Funhouse. I couldn't have topped that, given all those circumstances with the pandemic and the cinema match and stuff like that, right? But that was like another little heartbreak along the way, where it's like, he even wanted to have it this year. He actually was on board, and I can remember him texting me, John's excited to work with you at WrestleMania. And, okay, man. Oh, dude, beside myself thinking, all right, finally. And it just didn't happen, And there's quite a few of those, like, it's supposed to happen, but it didn't happen. And so you keep trucking along. And I'm always one of these guys that's like, well, if I at least have my guitar and my shtick, I know I can have the people be invested in me, right? So that was kind of like when I held it. And then, of course, it gets a lot more difficult during the pandemic when the crowd is gone.
Well, before we get, not to bring up another heartbreak, as I do, but the post-WrestleMania Raw in 2019, Undertaker comes out and he attacks you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of felt like, well, is there a plan? Is something going to happen here? How do you find out about that? And was there a plan?
Yeah. Oh, man. So you're bringing up all the hard stories, right? So look, at WrestleMania, before I went out with John, Vince pulled me aside. He says, I'm putting you out there with some big names these next couple days. Enjoy it. I said, man, okay, thanks. And I know the Undertaker. Everybody thought Undertaker was going to show up at WrestleMania. He didn't. They saved it for the next night with me. And then here we are, right? The story's already kind of like out there. The first one, I interrupt John, but he has a match with the Undertaker. The second one, he interrupts me, and then the Undertaker interrupts me. So it's like really awesome to be associated with that. So the next night, Monday Night Raw, incredible segment. The crowd is just absolutely going wild, and I deliver the line that the next person that interrupts me is going to be a dead man. And the gong goes off. He comes out. My eyes are wide. That was a big thing. I have those wide eyes. And we come out. We do the segment. I can remember, like, they made it like a thing. Like, it wasn't just like, he comes out and I'm just out in there and he does a speech or something like that. No, like, I stood face to face with him. I go to walk away. Then I go to attack him. And then he beats me up and he gives me a tombstone. So we did that. Incredible thing. And I got to the back and everyone's shaking hands and stuff like that. And Vince is like, hey, Taker wants to talk to you. And I'm like, okay, cool. And he pulls me aside to a little like private room. And he's like, hey, we're going to be doing some business together. I'm like, oh man. All right, what's up? He's like, we're going to do Saudi, and it's going to be me and you in Saudi. And I'm like, dude, I'll do anything to make this match awesome. Like, I'll take that for whatever it could mean. Any bump, any flop around, I'll do anything because like that means a lot to me, dude. I'll do anything to make this match great, whether it's 5 minutes or 25 minutes. Like, I'm game. He was like, all right, yeah, we'll have some fun, man. I said, okay, great. So we did that. And then, the next week, there was like no real follow-up to it. So I kind of got like, oh, that's interesting. No, maybe I threw a line out in my promo or something, but it was like no real follow-up. And then the next week, again, no real follow-up. And we're getting close to Saudi now because it was like only a few weeks later. And I can remember, I can't remember who I talked to, but somebody was like, oh, that's not happening now. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, they switched the card up or something like that, and they brought in Goldberg. And I was like, jeez, dude, like another instance where something really cool was supposed to happen and they switched it and and it didn't happen. And man, it was like at the time, I'm frustrated at the time, and I might have even been vocal about it, because I'm like, how can I break through to the next level? I mean, imagine this: WrestleMania match with John, Saudi match with Undertaker shortly after that. Now you're looking at Elias in a whole different realm of like superstar. Oh wow, because I'm already popular with the crowd, but I need those big matches to have that credibility. But it didn't happen. And I was really crushed by that, And I was probably vocal about it too, which I would tend to be at times. But, and then they had their match, and it was like, a disaster, the match. Taker gets dropped on his head. It's a whole thing. I know they were both disappointed with it. Like, they both didn't want that to be it. So I felt bad about the whole thing the whole way through. And especially because it's killing me inside going, I could have made Undertaker look just amazing. You know what I mean? Not that he needs my help, but just I could have played my part in that match to just do something awesome. And then it's that little feather in your cap. I wrestled Taker at a Saudi show or a big match, whatever. Yeah, and that's just one of the many heartbreaks along the way that didn't happen. And I don't know what I did that night. I can't even remember.
I mean, yeah, there's got to be. I mean, there's not a sense of satisfaction. Obviously, the Undertaker gets dropped on his head, but there's got to be some sort of satisfaction of like, see, if you put me in there, we would have had this match that could have done a lot more than the match did.
I mean, not only that, Taker said something similar to that when he was walking back after that match. Like, should have been you, And it's like, yeah. I agree. You know what I mean? But what can you do? You know what I mean? And so, from that point on, he had to take some time off. I have to move on to other storylines because it's not like, okay, well, hey, we'll do it at the next pay-per-view and I'll really make it awesome.